Okay, so we are Parshas Acharei, and today we don't usually go by the English calendar, but just everything's Ashkacha Pratis anyway. On May 5th, today's May 5th, 21 years ago, is the day that my husband and I and Mushka moved to Tom's River. And the very first home that we went to was to someone's house. Her name was June Feldman. And how did we have her number when we arrived here? We got 3 pieces of paper stapled on the corner with names, Jewish names and phone numbers. So Feldman is my last name. I'm born in June. So I saw June Feldman. I was like, okay, I'll try this number. It was just completely cold calls. And we came to her house. She gave us an $18 donation and she said, guys, go back to Brooklyn. Like that was our Bruchim Habayim. And we said that we're not going back to Brooklyn, we're here. And I was expecting Rachi. We came here May 5th. Rachi was born June 21st. And we said, we want to get to know, the Jewish people here. So she was living in an adult community. She said, I'll make something in my house. I'll invite my friends and you can come over and speak. And everyone was rubbing my belly. It was like, yeah. And literally, I came to speak. It was literally 1 week before Rachi was born. And the topic, what she wanted me to speak about is what is the difference between Chabad and Lakewood? That was the question that was posed to us. And, what did we know? So my husband helped me prepare, and we were actually discussing it this Friday night because my husband had to do a funeral for someone. And at this funeral, the daughter of the person who passed away, she's a veteran. And she knows a lot of people, and it comes, Memorial Day, and they put flags. I don't know exactly all the details, but she's in touch with a lot of people, and these people came to the funeral, and because my husband was officiating the funeral, they all ended up coming to our house Friday night for Shabbos dinner. We have First Friday, and there were people that, one person, the last time we saw her was 2011. And she was speaking about June Feldman, and I said, yeah, I remember that. We were reminiscing, whatever. Anyway, so, and my husband was said, he remembered this conversation and what they asked me to speak about then. And we were discussing it. And then very interestingly, this Sicha this week very much addresses this topic. So what my husband told me then, which it's amazing that we're just going to be discussing it today, is that there is a fundamental difference between the approach of, the approach of Lakewood and the approach of Chabad. A fundamental difference. Okay, so we're gonna say, so of course we all keep 613 mitzvahs and it's the same Torah for everybody, but welcome. But the difference of approach is that the Lakewood approach is that we are here in order to get Olam Haba. And our goal is to get into Olam Haba. And therefore, we need X amount of mitzvahs, X amount of Torah in order to get into Olam Haba. And unless I have that amount of Torah and mitzvahs, I'm not getting in. So I have to focus to get into Olam Haba. The Chabad approach is a different approach. The approach is that it's not about me and it's not about my Olam Haba. We are here for Hashem to make this physical, lowly world into a comfortable home for Hashem, to reveal Hashem's essence in this world. And therefore, it's not all or nothing. Either I'm a frum yid and I'm getting Olam Haba, or not. Because if the only way I get into Olam Haba is if I have a certain amount of Torah and mitzvahs, if there's a Jew who wasn't brought up religious and isn't living a religious lifestyle today, what's the point of them doing a mitzvah? Because anyway, they're not going to have enough points to get in. So it's a lost case. But the Chabad approach is that if one Jew does one mitzvah, that's incredible, because you just revealed Hashem's essence in this world. Every single mitzvah is a diamond and a gem. And it's not that it's not that either I'm completely a frum yid, or if I'm not willing to be completely a frum yid, then forget it. Not worth anything. And we're going to see this today. And this concept we know, but we're going to see this today in the Chumash and in the Psukim and in the flow of the Parshiyos. That's where we're going today. So what happened? Yeah.
Make it comfortable. As comfortable as you can. But he's here anyway. It's not, if I don't make it comfortable for him, he's not going to be here. He's going to be here. The goal is to make it comfortable.
Hashem is here, but our job is to reveal that Hashem is here. Which is a huge chiddush. What does Hashem do? Hashem takes nothing, and out of nothing, he creates something. Right? Every single second, Hashem is recreating the world. Hashem creates this something, it's called me'ayin liyesh, from nothing to something. What do? Since we have an neshama, an actual part of Hashem, angels can't do this. Only human beings who have an actual part of Hashem could do the opposite, which is what? Take a yesh, take the something that Hashem created and show the ayin, show that it's really nothing. Because without Hashem, it can't exist. To reveal the oneness, to reveal the nothingness, to reveal the Eibishter, this tree, it's not really a tree. It doesn't exist on its own. It doesn't have its own power. In the tree is godliness, which makes it exist. To reveal the essence of Hashem in the physical world. That's our job.
Isn't we say also personally to find the godliness in us, to find our godliness and express it in the world, to be more like Hashem. The essence of us being here is to bring godliness, to find our godliness, to find how we're a piece of Hashem. Sound like Him.
100%.
So we are tapping into, every person has that, like the non from everybody is a part of Hashem, and how to tap into that and bring it into the world.
Yes.
And
to help every Jew, to show every Jew.
They all have it. We all God-like. We all part of Hashem.
100%, to reveal to help every Jew recognize their potential and their greatness and their dearness to Hashem. 100%.
Crazy how we could all be listening to the same thing in different pieces.
I'm saying it's
Because I was focusing on the piece of like, even if you're not there yet, even if you're struggling, it's okay. Because yesterday I was feeling really badly about myself about something. And I feel like that was like an old perspective that I used to hold on to. Like, I'm like, I want to explore, let's say tznius, learning about tznius. And then I was feeling badly about where I'm at. But this perspective is so beautiful because it's okay that I'm struggling. The struggle is it, not.
The journey is the destination.
Yeah. So I feel like that's like another piece, but I just think it's so funny. You heard one thing, you heard another thing, I heard another thing.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Because the greater the struggle, the more revelation there is. Right?
She's fighting.
The harder it is to overcome the darkness. The darker it is, the more we appreciate the light. Okay, in this week's Parshas Acharei Mos. Acharei Mos, who passed away? Nadav ben Avihu. Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe, Acharei Mos shnei bnei Aaron. Hashem speaks to Moshe after the death of the two sons of Aaron. B'karvasam lefnei Hashem, they came close to Hashem, vayimusu, and they passed away. This isn't the first time we see this. Where else do we see this? Parsha Shmini. Parsha Shmini, right over here, Parsha Shmini, what does it say? The same story.
That's what happened. Yeah.
That's when it actually happened. What's the background? The Yidden built the Mishkan. Now they want Hashem to come and rest in the Mishkan. So for 7 days, they with the help of Moshe Rabbeinu, they built the Mishkan and they took it down to practice. And then the 8th day was the day that Hashem is going to rest permanently on the Mishkan. And what happens? Vayikchu b'nei Aaron, the sons of Aaron took Nadav Avihu, Ish machtasa, each took their frying pan. Vayitnu b'han eish, they put a fire in it. Vayasimu aleh kteres, and they brought incense on in this frying pans. Vayikrivu l'fnei Hashem, and they brought it close before Hashem. Eish zara, it was a strange fire. Asher lo yitziva oisam, Hashem didn't command them to do this. V'atete eish l'fnei Hashem, and a fire came out from before Hashem. V'atoichal oisam, and consumed them. Vayamusu l'fnei Hashem, and they passed away before Hashem. Okay. And every time, the Torah is Milashon Haira'ah. Torah, every single word in Torah is a lesson. But not always is the lesson apparent. Sometimes you have to go to the Gemara, to the Medrash to figure out what is the lesson. But here, in this case, something very interesting. The Torah itself tells you what we could learn from the fact that Nadav ben Avihu came close to Hashem. They brought this fire. They weren't told to do so. And the lesson that we're supposed to learn, there are 2 lessons. The Torah themselves, Torah Shebechsav, tells you what the lessons are. You don't have to go to Torah Shebal Peh. And there are 2 halachas that we learn. One halacha is brought in Parsha Shmini right after it happens. And the second halacha is brought now, Parsha Acharei is 2.5 parshiyos later. So one of the main questions that the Rebbe asks is, why is the second thing that we learn from the death of the sons of Aaron, why do we wait 2.5 parshiyos? It should seemingly be right away with the first halacha that we learn. Let's see, what are the halachas that we learn? Okay, let's see if we can find it. Because there's a few psukim later. Vaydaber Hashem al Aaron lemar. This is the middle of the festivities, the karbanos, everything that's being done on this 8th day.
Like a wedding.
It's like a wedding.
That's the time.
It reminds me of like when was.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember that because that was the year that Miriam was born. That was 4 years ago.
Quite a few differences, but one striking thing that reminds me that over there, I was told to continue doing that, but not to stop.
Right.
And we don't have time to do it, so that's why they stopped.
And it was a few people's sons.
This was much more, yeah,
Yes.
much more than 2, I mean, you know,
No, but I'm saying that it was a few people's sons, a few parents.
and like going, yeah, way more, yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah,
Whole different
not really,
ones.
yeah, not parallel.
I can't even imagine.
Okay.
And it says that Aaron was quiet.
Yeah.
And the rest of the strong.
They had the responsibility more for the tradition, but he was
Yes.
not allowed in his son, so they continue there in the job.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the things we learn by Vaydaber Hashem al Aaron lemar, Hashem says to Aaron, saying, Yayin v'sheichar al teisht, you should not drink wine and beer. you and your sons, you should not be intoxicated, you should not be drunk when you go into the Mishkan or to the Beis Hamikdash, and that way you won't die. And this is a chayk forever, for all generations. So the first thing we learn is that a kohen is not allowed to drink wine, to get intoxicated, to get shikar when he goes into the Mishkan, to the Beis Hamikdash. Because obviously they were drunk. They did drink wine before they went in. And what's the second halacha that we learn? 2.5 parashiyos later. Moshe daber el Aaron, achicha, speak to Moshe. Hashem tells Moshe, speak to your Aaron, your brother. Va'al yavai, he should not come b'chol eis, at any time, el hakodesh. Meaning that the kohen gadol is not permitted to go into the kodesh hakodashim whenever he wants. And then later on it says that he could only go in achas bashana, once a year, which is Yom Kippur. And here in Parshas Acharei, this is where we're going to speak about Yom Kippur. Okay, so this is our $1 million question. Why doesn't the Torah just tell us the 2 halachas that you learn from the passing of Aaron's sons? Say it together. And if you say it was said together, but in the Torah there's ein muktam u'mu'achar b'Torah, that there's no chronological order in the Torah, that it could have been said then and only it's written now. But everything is exact. So the fact that it's brought specifically here is for a specific reason, and we have to figure this out. That's our goal for today. Okay. Let's find my notes. Okay. What's in between these parashiyos? You have Parsha Shmini, right? This whole big celebration for the completion of the Mishkan. And then we have the rest of Shmini. What does the rest of Shmini talk about? Think of which arts and crafts projects did the kids bring home in the Chumash Vayikra when it's talking about karbanos? Right, the animals, right? Which animals are kosher? They chew their cud and split their feet, right? Split hooves. So we speak about animals, which animals are kosher and which animals are not kosher. And then that's the end of Shmini. And then we have Tazria Mitzayra. We just learned Tazria Mitzayra. What is Tazria Mitzayra talking about?
Also that a woman gave birth. She's clean, she's not.
So this is all about people. First, we speak about animals, which animals are kosher and which animals are not kosher. And then we talk about people. We talk about purity and impurity of people, specifically impurity that comes from the person's body. And saras is the impurity that you brought onto yourself with through lashon hara. And then now we have Parshat Acharei. Now we're talking about Yom Kippur. This is the flow. This is what these are the 2.5 parshas in between. So what is the significance of it? What is the storyline over here? What's going on? So the storyline is as follows. We have the giving of the Torah. And then it speaks about a lot of holy things. We have Teruma, Tetzaveh, Vayakel, Pekudei. What is all that? It's all holy things about building the Mishkan, about the clothing for the Kohanim, for the Kohen Gadol. And then we have the construction of the Mishkan and this Chanukas Habayis for the Mishkan. And then we have, and then we have Parshas Acharei, which speaks about Yom Kippur, which is talking about kapara. They have to get forgiven. That obviously there's an opportunity to mess up, and now we need a Yom Kippur. So this is so what the storyline, what's happening is that first we have to understand how to establish the holy realms in our lives. And then we go downwards and we're starting to talk about the world, the animals, the kosher animals, the not kosher animals. Now we have to, yes, it's holy, holy, holy. And then you have to go into this world and the Torah has to help you differentiate between what's kosher and what's not kosher, what's pure, what's impure. You have to come down to the world where there's a blend of good and bad. It's not everything is good. And we depend on the light of Torah to help us distinguish between what's pure, what's impure, what's kosher, what's not kosher. And the Torah illuminates our path to protect us from being affected by the negativity of the world. And the Torah tells us that with the light of Torah, we could overcome our imperfections. Because look, we're not perfect. There are times that we're in a state of impurity. But we could overcome all the obstacles with the light of Torah. And now this concept of Yom Kippur makes sense. After Torah tells us how to engage in this world and how to protect ourselves, what's right and what's wrong, what happens if we mess up? What happens if negativity latches onto us, clings to us? Don't despair. You have Yom Kippur. And Yom Kippur, anything impure, anything that we messed up will be forgiven, and Hashem will forgive us, and we'll be clean and pure again. So again, what's the flow? First we have kedusha, holiness. Then we have the mundane and working in the mundane, and then there's a backup plan. If you mess up, Yom Kippur will help you fix everything. So now we understand why we speak about Yom Kippur in Parshas Acharei. Now we understand why it's placed over there, but we still don't understand why can't the two halachas that we learned from the fact that the two sons of Aaron passed away, why can't they be together? Why is the fact that you cannot come close whenever you want, why is that halacha specifically over here? Okay. So the fact that it says you can't come in whenever you want, only once a year, it's not only here because it connects to Yom Kippur, but rather, this is the answer. This is the glimmer of the answer. You cannot come whenever you want. This only becomes applicable and doable after you have the laws of kosher and after you have the laws of Tumah and Tara. Okay, now we're going to take a break. And we're going to discuss what did the sons of Aaron do wrong. There's many different explanations. There's many different answers. One of the answers is that their sin was that they didn't get married. They didn't want to. They wanted to connect to Hashem and not be in this world. Getting married would mean they have to take care of a wife, take care of children, change diapers, deal with, mess and physical stuff. And they didn't want, that's one of the answers. So obviously, it's not a simple sin. And even the fact that they drank, it wasn't that they were, according to Hasidus, it wasn't that they were actually drunk. It's not a simple literal sin, but there's obviously something much deeper. And the Acharei at length gives a lengthy explanation. The Acharei is so long if you want to find it yourself, in the Acharei, there's 2 pages. All this is the Acharei. And the second page, the second column on the top, okay, there isn't an English translation, so I can't translate it perfectly. But basically what it says is, it brings 8 different adjectives. And it says, B'karvasam l'fnei Hashem. They wanted to come close to Hashem. Ramaz HaKasuv, the pasuk is hinting, Hafla'as chibas hatzadikim, the wondrous love that tzadikim have. Shehagam shahayu margishim b'misasam, even though they felt that they're going to die. Loi nimnu, they did not hold back. Mikarei, from coming close. Okay, now there's 8 adjectives. Those that know Hebrew, let's see if you can help us out. Lidveikus, dveikus means to come close. Ni'imus, na'im means pleasant. Arevus also means pleasant. Yedidus is like a good friend, friendship. Chavivus, cherishedness. Chashekus, a longing. Misikus, a sweetness. Ad kalais nafsheisam mehem, until their neshama just left their body. So it's describing a tzaddik has such loves Hashem so much, he cherishes Hashem. It's so pleasant and pleasurable for Hashem that they felt their soul's going to leave them. But because Hashem is so dear to them, because they love Hashem so much, they couldn't resist, and their neshamas just left them. Till Klais Nefesh, the neshamas just left them. And so that was the sin. The sin was that they had this tremendous desire, but they didn't come back. A desire is good, but you have to take the desire and then bring it back and apply it to your life. And they were it was too sweet. It was too sweet. They couldn't, they were, and that's what it means intoxicated. They were drunk from what is it?
High on Hashem.
Yeah, they were high on Hashem. Perfect. Why was that a sin? They allowed their intense desire to connect to Hashem to bring them to kalais hanefesh, when the soul literally leaves the body. The reason why it's a sin is because our mission is to make a dwelling place for Hashem down here. This is where it's at. And this is the Chabad philosophy. It's not about the ultimate goal, the purpose for why Hashem created the world is not so that after 120 years we should all be in Gan Eden, have front row seats in Gan Eden. That's not why Hashem created the world. Hashem created the world so that in this world we should reveal Hashem's essence. And therefore, if you love Hashem so much and you're so on such a high, but you leave this world, then you miss the point. Yeah, the ultimate. Yeah, so there's that many different reasons. Why did Hashem create the world? So the Chabad approach is Nisava Kadosh Baruch Hu Liyos La'dir B'Tachtainim. The reason why we're here is not for our own personal gain. It's because Hashem had a desire to have a dir b'tachtainim, a dwelling place, a place where we could feel comfortable in this physical world. Reminds me of the story that I've said many times of Reb Mendel Futterfast, I believe it was. He was thrown into jail for his counter-revolutionary activities of spreading Torah. And in jail, how do the prisoners pass the time? By playing cards. However, to play cards in prison is against the rules. So they're in the middle of a great game of cards, and the guard, when he hears that the game is really good, he barges in to confiscate the cards. He comes in, and the game is immediately over, and the cards disappear. The cards are gone. And the guard checks every single prisoner's pockets, and they're gone. And then the guard leaves because he couldn't find the cards. And this repeats itself again and again. So Rav Mendel Futterfass goes to one of the Russians and he says, tell me, what's the secret? What's going on? He says, why are we here? We're here because we're big anavim. We're pickpocketers. We're professionals. When the prison guard walks in, what do? We quickly gather the cards and we put it in his pocket. He doesn't think to look in his pocket. He checks everyone else's pocket. And then on his way out, I give him a tap on the back, shakayach for coming. And he takes the cards out. And then the game immediately resumes. So we think, where are we going to find a connection to Hashem? In Olam Haba. Look here, look there, look everywhere. We don't realize it's in our pocket. It's in our pocket. A lot of times. Now, for example, we're looking forward to our daughter's wedding. So there's such anticipation. 8 more weeks, whatever it is, and you have to stop and tell yourself, yes, this concept of Sfir Sa'imer, of counting down, is great, but cherish every single minute of every single day. Don't just wait. Till the wedding day. Cherish this time, because this time is not going to come back again. That you have your whatever, that you have your daughter's help, or that that's just from a very physical perspective. What is it? Pesach perspective. But I'm saying to enjoy every minute, every day, every hour. Enjoy every stage when you have it, instead of just looking forward to this special day that's coming, and then you're forgetting the gift of the moment, of the present, which is a present. So we think that if I escape the world, that's when I'll be happy. That's when my neshama will be in ecstasy. But we have to realize that where are the gems? Where are the diamonds? Where is it at? Where can we truly have this intimacy with Hashem? It's only here, where we don't see what we're accomplishing. Here we do a mitzvah, and we don't see the great shakes of what we did. But it's only in this world where we could experience true intimacy with God, true oneness with God, while on the Olam Haba, you experience the divine pleasure. But the oneness, that's only here. You have an infinite God, you have a finite human being, and then you have an opportunity to do a mitzvah, a connection. Only here do you have intimacy with God. It's not somewhere else. It's in your pocket. This is where it's at right this minute. You don't feel like getting up in the morning. You don't feel like doing whatever you have to do. You're just, I'm emotionally spent. But this is weird over here when you're not in a good mood, when you feel, that you don't have kayach to continue, and you do so anyway. This is where the connection is. Only here do you have that opportunity. Just a few examples besides for Nadav and Avi, where we see this concept of kalois hanefesh, where neshama could wants to leave the body. There's another sicha that's a Purim sicha, Purim Farbringen, where the Rebbe speaks about. It says in the Gemara that there was a sage Rabbah, and there was a sage Reb Zera, and Rabbah invited Reb Zera to come and have a Purim feast with him. And it says that it says that Rabbah slaughtered, shechted Reb Zera. And then the next morning, when he realized that Reb Zera wasn't here, he revived him. And then the next year, Rabbah again invited Reb Zera to come and have a Purim feast with him, and Reb Zera declined. He said, the fact that you brought me back last time doesn't mean that the same trick is going to work again. Rabbah comes from the word Rav, which means great. The word Zera means small. And they had what happened, didn't actually slaughter him, but he brought him to such great heights until he had Klais HaNefesh. He couldn't handle it. And then Rabbah had to bring Reb Zera back. Another example is the Maggid of Mezrich had a son. His name was Reb Avram HaMalach because he was so spiritual. And the Alter Rebbe, he had a choice. He could either go to Vilna or he could go to Mezrich to learn. And he said, if I go to Vilna, in Vilna they teach you how to learn Torah. I already know how to learn Torah. In Mezrich they teach you how to daven. That I don't know yet. I'm going to go to Mezrich. He comes to Mezrich. He was there for 2 weeks. And he said, no, I'm going to leave. This is not for me. And he came to say, he came to give shalom to the Maggid of Mezrich. And the Maggid of Mezrich told him, he said, I don't remember exactly the details, but something like, you have to beat the horses until they're not horses anymore. Until you transform them, until they're not horses anymore. Something like that. And this intrigued the Alter Rebbe, and he said, okay, I'm going to stay. I have to stay to figure out what this means. And he would learn, he had a chavrusa, the Alter Rebbe would have a chavrusa with Reb Avram HaMalach. And the Alter Rebbe would teach Reb Avram HaMalach Gemara. And Reb Avram HaMalach would teach Alter Rebbe Chassidus. And he was so involved in the Chassidus, he was so on a high that the Alter Rebbe, he would turn the clock. So Rabbi Avram HaMalach wouldn't realize, and Rabbi Avram HaMalach was so on a high that he wouldn't realize that the Alter Rebbe was turning the clock. And this way, the Alter Rebbe could have more time to learn Chassidus with Rabbi Avram HaMalach. Yeah. But then there was times that he saw Rabbi Avram HaMalach, he's so in ecstasy, they would say, he would stop him and would say, it's time to eat lunch. He would take a bagel and butter and give him we have to eat lunch to bring him back down to the physical world. Because otherwise he saw that his neshama would just leave. There's another story that there's another story that the Rebbe brings in this Farbrengen, and he says, there was a Rebbe, the Mazicher Rebbe. They were very into Nagina. There's also the Animamin. The Animamin was yeah. There was I don't know exactly the story, but they were in the cattle cars on the way to the concentration camp, and was it a chassid of the Mazicher Rebbe who composed the Animamin?
Taught it to him.
The Mazicher. Yes. No, yes, but there was a specific melody. Yeah. That niggin of Animamin was composed by the Mazicher Rebbe, and he said whichever chassid risks his life to save this niggin, he promised that. What did he promise? I don't remember, but basically. Yeah, he jumped from the cattle cars and he was saved, and he brought this melody to America. So it says about the Mazicher Rebbe that he needed an operation and he couldn't have anesthesia because also he was old and frail, and he couldn't do it. They didn't know what to do. This was going to be a life-saving operation. So he said, I'm going to compose a niggin. I'm going to sing the niggin, and you're going to see that when I'm deep into the niggin, you're going to see that I'm not here, and he could do the operation, and they did, and the operation was successful, and his life was saved. So we could see this concept that a very big chassid, you could have this concept of the neshama, like literally out of body experience, and the neshama literally having this concept of Klais HaNefesh, it's such a desire to cleave to Hashem, that this concept that how this concept actually exists. Um, the Alter Rebbe, they say about the Alter Rebbe that he was seen by a psychologist. I guess this is in Russia. And the psychologist said that he sees from the Alter Rebbe that he yearns for something very strongly and he lacks contentment because he doesn't have it. And they interpreted, the Goyim, they interpreted it that he wants to be the Tsar of Russia. But really, what did he want? He really wanted Alikus. He wanted to be one with Hashem. Okay. So why is it a chait? Why is it a chait? Why is it a chait? Because to have a desire is wonderful, but we're required to take that inspiration and come down and apply it to something practical in our life. As it says that we're here against our will. So there's this concept of Chassidus, a ratzoi and shuv. You want to run away, but then you have to have shuv, you have to return. And the problem of Nadav and Avihu is that they were escaping the world. There are two opposite reasons for why a person would have this great yearning without wanting to return. One is, like we read in the Acharei, when a person realizes he appreciates godliness so much that it's so sweet and it's so pleasurable and it's so amazing and it's so wonderful that he'll do anything in his power to cleave to Hashem, to grasp Hashem, even if it means that his neshama will leave his body. Then there's another reason, and that is the opposite. If there's a person who is in this world and he feels and he sees how lowly this world is, and he feels this world is so low, so disgusting, so filthy, and this world could pull me away from Hashem, and this world is such a scary, dangerous place, and therefore I want to escape. I want to run away. One is because Hashem is so great and I love Hashem so much. And I want to cleave to Hashem because I recognize and appreciate the greatness of Hashem. And one is the opposite, because this world is so dangerous, so dirty, so scary. I'm so afraid of this world. Therefore, I want to escape and I want to run away. Yeah, two opposite reasons for why a person will say, I'm ready to die. I'm ready to die, be one with Hashem, even though we said that the oneness is really here. I want to just cleave to Hashem. I want to go to Olam Haba for two reasons. Either I appreciate the greatness of Hashem, or I want to run away from this physical world. It's too dangerous and scary for me.
Basically, you want to go out.
Yeah. And my husband gave this class today in seminary, and I listened to his recording in order to teach here. And someone asked a question about suicide. But this is not suicide. We're not talking about suicide. Yeah. Yeah. So we're not talking about that. Because Ratzoi, this desire to cleave to Hashem, is coming from the neshama.
Suicide is coming from depression. Not that.
Yeah.
So what happened? Because it's so bad.
The suicide is the.
It's just give us an understanding, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it's coming from a place of pain that I can't tolerate this world anymore. My body can't tolerate this world anymore, and therefore I give up. Versus Kalais Hanefesh, this desire to be one with Hashem, not realizing that the oneness is truly here. That is coming from a place of the neshama, where the neshama is yearning. Like a fire, like you see a fire burning, like the Shabbos candles. The fire is striving to go up. Gravity pulls everything down, but you see the fire, it's striving to go up, but the wick is keeping it down here, that it can't, that it shouldn't just disappear. Um,
It's like a magnetic pole.
yeah. Gravity is a magnetic pull down, but this is the opposite. And anytime you take a candle, and even if you turn the candle upside down, the flame will still rise up. Okay, so why does the neshama want to leave? Either because it realizes how special Ruchnius is, or realizes how bad Gashmius is. So technically, this Ratzu is a beautiful thing, but it has to have this shuv. So, therefore, the Torah is addressing two types of people. And for the two types of people, there are two halachas in two different places. The first halacha is addressed to one class of people, one group of people, Yoshvei Ohel, the people that want to sit and learn Torah whole entire day, that they want to be that they're separate from the world. They're not busy making a living. They're sitting in Koila. Yoshvei Ohel. The second type of people is the Balei Esek, the business people, the people that are in this world, acting in this world. So the Yoshvei Ohel, those that are sitting and learning, they're not in a dangerous place. We don't have to tell them, don't run away. Don't run away. Don't run away from, we don't have to tell them about don't worry about the danger, because they're not in a dangerous place. Someone who sits and learns a whole day might think that if I really truly want to understand the ultimate truth of Torah, it can only be found in the spiritual worlds. The ultimate is in the spiritual worlds, in Olam Haba. And they think that the only way to study Torah is to run away from the world. Because the ultimate Torah, ultimately, it's up there. I have to get as close as I can to connect with Torah, and therefore I have to run away from the world. However, the Torah is not in heaven. The essence of Torah is not in heaven. You're looking in the wrong place. What's a joke in Chel? That the guy is looking, he lost something, lost a watch. He's looking for the watch. It's the middle of the night. He's looking for the watch by the lamppost. So he says, where did you lose the watch? I lost the watch 2 blocks away. But I'm looking over here because here's the light. You're looking in the wrong place. If a Yeshiv Oyel thinks that the ultimate place where he's going to find the greatness of Torah is in another world, in a heavenly world, we have to tell him, you have the cards in your pocket. Torah is here. Where is the essence of Hashem? The essence of Torah is revealed. It's down here. As a matter of fact, there's a base in Shalmaila, right? And the base in Shalmaila comes Rosh Hashanah, and base in Shalmaila, they decide every person what kind of year they're going to have. Base in Shalmaila comes to listen to when over here on this earth, when Rosh Chodesh is determined, and based on when Rosh Hashanah is, when Rosh Hashanah is determined down here, that's when Beis and Shamayla could start Rosh Hashanah in heaven. Hashem waits until Rosh Chodesh is established down here in order for Rosh Hashanah to begin. Even though Hashem knows everything, but still. According to Nigla, it makes sense that Torah is here, because there's no lulav and esrog in heaven, and there's no ox that gorda shar shnagach para. There's no ox and there's no bull in heaven. So of course it makes sense that Torah is down here. That's according to Nigla. But even according to Chassidus and Kabbalah is also learned in yeshivas in heaven, right? But they come from the yeshiva in heaven to this class to see how we're learning Chassidus down here. They come and listen. They come and listen from the yeshiva in heaven to hear how we're learning Chassidus down here. There's a dispute in the heavenly court. We spoke about tzaras last time. If you have tzaras and then 2 white hairs grow in the tzaras, then it's tameh. But what if you don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did the years grow first or did the tzaras come first? So in the Yeshiva Shamayla, if you don't know, in the Yeshiva Shamayla, they paskind that if you don't know what came first, it's tummy. But to resolve the spirit, and Hashem said that it's tahar. And Yeshiva Shamayla said tameh. And Yeshiva Shamayla, they went to Rabbi Bar Nachmani, who was an Amira living in this world, to resolve this issue. To resolve spiritual matters, they come down here. The emes of Torah is found in this world. And this was the mistake that the Yidden made on the night of the giving of the Torah. They said, we're going to go to sleep. Our neshamas will go up and we'll be so spiritual. And that will be a good achana of Matan Torah. And then that was wrong. And therefore we stay up all night. At least the men do. And say Tikkun Al Shavuos. Why? Because that was a mistake. We're not supposed to go to sleep and have our neshamas rise up there to learn in heaven. They thought when a person sleeps, the physical body is not functioning, is not functioning 100%. It could relax. And therefore we could focus on spirituality. But that's not what Hashem wants. Hashem gave us a Torah down here. This is where it's at. So that's talking to the Yeshiv Ayel. Yeshiv Ayel, we tell him the first halacha: don't get drunk, don't get on a high, and don't think that Torah is in the sky. But rather, you should know: don't run away. Don't run away from this world. Don't run away from this world. Don't look down upon people that aren't on your level. Don't forget about your family. Don't forget about your kids. You have to live in this world. Don't escape and say, I'm going to learn 24/7 and I don't care about anyone or anything. That's what we're talking to say to the Yeshiv Ayel. And then to the business person, what do we say? He comes and he says, how can I withstand this world? There's so many expectations that have to be from Yid. And look at all the challenges that I'm faced with. Rabbi Yitzchak Barditchev said, if you would have put hell in the Sefer and the pleasures of connecting to Hashem in the world, we would be good people. But what did Hashem do? He put if you put all the temptations for this physical world in a sefer, and you put the pleasure of learning Torah in the world, then we look like different people. But what did Hashem do? Hashem put the temptations in the world, not in the sefer. So a person could say, this world is too dangerous. Maybe I should leave my business and I should go somewhere spiritual. But no, Hashem wants a dir b'tachtainim. Hashem only asked of us what we could handle. And certainly, Hashem gave you the strength to overcome the obstacles, to overcome the darkness, to overcome the not kosher, to overcome the impure. And if we try to do our best, then Hashem will give us the kayach. And so these are the two halachas, these are the two messages to the two different groups. And the second message to the Balei Esek, to the business people, cannot be told until Parshas Acharei Mos. The first halacha, not to drink the wine to the point of intoxication, that's talking to the kayin, or to those involved in Torah. They're holy. And yayin, wine, represents the secrets of Torah. Because it says, nichnas yayin, yatsa said. If you drink wine, then the secrets will come out, and those are the secrets of Torah. So wine represents the secrets of Torah, the geshmak, the enjoyment of Torah. So the first halacha is telling the kayin, don't drink, don't go on such a high, don't have such a geshmak in Torah that you forget about the world. Don't lose your mitzias. Don't lose yourself. Don't engage in terror to the point that you lose yourself. Since our family does a lot of commuting back and forth, we listen to a lot of story tapes in the car. So there was, I don't know the details, but there was the story of this person who was he was very wealthy and he loved to learn Torah, and he didn't want anyone to bother him. He built himself a big yeshiva, a big kollel deep in the forest, and there was a poor man that was very, very learned, and somehow he found this yeshiva in the forest, and he's like, "What is this? This poor man can't have any poor people over here." And so he realized what a great Talmid Chacham was. He said, I want to invite you to come to my house for lunch. So the guy is thinking, oh, Baruch Hashem, I'll finally get a good meal. He invited the poor man to come to lunch, but who was eating lunch? Only the big Veer was eating lunch. While he was eating lunch, he wanted someone to talk Torah to him, but he never gave him any food, right? So you can't forget. You can't just worry about yourself that you should, have a very philosophical Torah discussion. The guy is starving. That was one story that we once heard in the car. You can't be so deeply involved that you don't realize that there's another person who literally doesn't have food to eat or spiritually doesn't have food to eat. And then comes the second halacha. For the regular person, even if we're not in business, for the regular person, not a Yeshiv Ayel, regular Jewish people. And what do you say? Don't go into the Kodesh Kodashim at all times. You can't always, you can't go into the Kodesh Kodashim whenever you want. The person could say, listen, Yom Kippur is beautiful. I don't have to worry about food. I don't have to worry about cooking. Could sit and chill all day. This is great. Let's have Yom Kippur all year. I'll be uplifted. I'll be pure. But the message is no. Don't run away. So now going back to the question, how could you send me into this world? How could you tell me that I can't just go to Kodesh Kodashim whenever I want? That I have to be in this world? And the answer is Parshas Shmini, Parshas Tazria, Parshas Mitzayra. These parshias, what happens in these parshias? The Torah is telling you how to lift yourself up. The Torah is giving you instructions of how to know the difference between Tameh and Tahar, between kosher and not kosher. And once you know how to distinguish between good and bad, you have the kayach from the Torah, that you have the kayach, the Torah that you were learning, and you could be safe in this world, and you don't have to be afraid. We tell the business person, Torah gives you the kayach to overcome all the challenges of the world. So now we're going to go back to our original question. Why do we wait until Parshas Acharei to learn the second halacha? Why not even Avihu? What do we learn from the fact that Nadav and Avihu passed away? The message is, go out into the world. Don't be scared. You don't have to be in a state of Yom Kippur a whole entire year. You can't go. You can't be in that place all year. You have to be in the world. You have to do your business. But don't be afraid. You could go out into the world. Don't be afraid, because you have the kayach of Torah. Because you know what's good, what's bad. Torah is instructing us how Torah is instructing us how we could successfully live in this world and be good from a Yidden. We have the kayach of Torah to overcome all the challenges of the world and to make a dir b'tachtainim and to bring Mashiach now. Okay.
Especially as women, because maybe we are more spiritually inclined, but there's so many times when we're doing just purely
Physical stuff.
And all I want to do is, let's say, be in shul or be at a shir, and there's something very like whatever, like presence wherever you're at. That's
Yeah.
there's
And wherever you are, This is where Hashem needs you to be. And even if you're dealing with something very physical, washing dishes, making breakfast, making lunch, bathing the kids, holding the kids, for younger, whatever it is, and even older kids, to be able to, even if we're in a place where we're adults, we don't have as much peer pressure, let's say, to be able to look and see things from the perspective of other people. For example, today I took my daughter Shayna needed had a dentist appointment, whatever, and so so this morning 9:30 we went to the dentist. By 10 o'clock we were out, and she says to me, well, we already discussed this yesterday, but basically one of my other children, Menuchas, they're doing graduation pictures in school, and Shayna says to me, I'm not going to go back right away. Anyway, she didn't want to take the public transportation, which she usually does with her sisters, so she wouldn't take the public transportation. She could take a 2:20 bus from Lakewood to Borough Park and get back to New York in the afternoon. She says to me, anyway, I'm going to miss school. I'm going to stay home and take the 7:15 bus. And when the kids, also today, my husband's not coming home till much later in the evening. When the kids come home from school, I'm going to babysit everyone, and you take Menucha to Kitty Chic to buy an outfit for the graduation pictures. Now, I'm thinking to myself, what does this kid need another outfit for graduation pictures? She has two beautiful outfits we bought for Pesach. Why do I have to buckle to this peer pressure? Like, first of all, I don't even know what what else she's going to find there. But from her perspective, yes, okay, another dress. Do I really need it? But I could say that and just shut it down. But my kids are educating me. Yeah, you have to look at it from the perspective of her eyes. Like, it's not enough. Okay, maybe I don't need it. Maybe I'm, but this kid needs it for whatever reason, and to be able to.
It's her sister who suggested it, not even that her.
I don't know what the conversation between the three of them were. There were three of them, but to be able to say it's not just about me and my perspective and how I view the world, and I don't think it's necessary that I have to buckle to the peer pressure of whatever's going on in that classroom, but to say we'll go, we'll buy something that's sneeze, I don't know, but whatever it is, to not just look at it from my perspective, but to look at it from the world's perspective. Another thing, they wore black tights a whole winter. Now, over Pesach, I see one of my kids stockings with short socks. I'm like, what is this? And my kids tell me, well, everyone does this. And my reaction was, I'm sorry, but you're wearing such thin stockings that no one, I don't even know that you're wearing stockings. And my reaction is, this is wrong. And I must have said, and I did say, I just want you to know, everyone's adults, do whatever you want. I mean, I can't control but this is wrong. I don't see how this could be right. On the other hand, to stop a second and say, look, I am living in Tom's River. They're living somewhere else. And this is what everyone else is doing in their society, in their group of friends, whatever it is. And to realize if they're wearing stockings, of course, I maybe would have loved something different. But if they're wearing stockings and they're wearing socks on top of it, and this is the pressure, this is where they're coming from, whether it's right or wrong, we could discuss it. But at least to understand their perspective before I just shut it down and say, I can't. Before to at least understand where they're coming from and the challenges that they have to experience, whatever. That's one thing.
I'm going through this with my manager. The Vikings and the Vikings and but why? Isn't it the community-based? See, go to different communities and everybody. It's so confusing. I wish there was a halacha, a central halacha about having.
You can't do that because there is a.
You know what?
So
Well, there's so many different hookers.
So you got to say that.
And then-
Controversial topic.
Yeah, but somebody asked about the homeless question years ago, and I raised my children, I went to Slings's things, but like, see, in Flatbush. It's a big topic out there in my city. Someone said they asked about the homeless, that one is, because it's been in my mom, don't let it be a fight between the doorway.
But at least if you say, at least if you say, listen,
Don't, you know, that double concept, don't let it be a such a source of fighting, because the bad is really is the loss of the ankle, but if it's a fight, let it go. Don't let it become your daughter's, yes. That's what I would say.
Environmental.
What?
It's environmental.
It is a minute mark, like, I just saw the business, but don't let it be, so if you're doing a fight with it, let it be, don't fight with them, stop you.
but the first thing is love. The first thing is say, you know, I feel so bad for you that you're living in this, that this is what everyone else is doing, and that you have to deal with this. Just, first of all, a little bit of sympathy instead of just coming down with a hammer, you know? Look, see it from the world's perspective. It might not be a challenge for you, but just because it's not a challenge for you doesn't mean that you have to be able to look at it from the world's perspective or from someone else's perspective to see the challenges that they're going through.
Everything. Hold on.
I don't think anybody.
No. You know, this hooker, that hooker, today was such a mountain time. And what starts over there, travels here and travels here, and it creates issues. That's what. I just wish they were.
Well, like, you know what, my mom used to say, it's a piece of garbage stuff, I tell you.
Yes.
That's where we created it from. That's where we created from.
Yes.
Every hairstyle, every clothing style, every slip dress.
You know,
every knot.
Yeah, my husband showed me on someone's status that there was a shoe store that opened, and they had all these stars come to this shoe store, and the shoes were priced, I don't know, ranging between $250 and $850, and these people, these stars, these celebrities coming in, looking at the shoes, and they're being interviewed how much money they will pay for these shoes, and they're saying how amazing these shoes are, and they all pay for their shoes, these exorbitant amount of money, and the name of the shoe store, I'm forgetting what it was, but it was but yeah. So when they walked out, every person who purchased the shoes said, "Just wanting to know, what was it?"
Like Payless or like one of these.
Yeah, they changed one of the letters, and basically they said, "This shoe that you just paid $850 for, it's a Payless shoe."
Oh, there's just.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, it was a social experiment. They changed the name of the store. They changed it. I forget. It was similar to Payless, but they just changed it a little bit. They made it sound a little French. And these people are paying $850 for shoes that they probably go down for $8.50 in Payless. So the point is that, you know, how we're so overtaken by the trends and what other people tell us to do. It's a challenge. Yeah. But ultimately, the point is that we have to, that was the title of the class, grow by staying below. It's not about, I'm going to grow, but doesn't mean the only way I could grow is by escaping, but rather by staying here. This is where there's the most growth. And I'll just end with a story. Sharon Chester, who some of you know, very, very dear friend. She passed away. She made such great strides in Yiddishkeit. She was an amazing woman. We invited them to come to our house for Shabbos dinner. We had met them at the mall, Ocean County Mall. It was Hanukkah. We built a menorah out of Lego. And that's when the first time we met her, and she came with her husband and children for Shabbos dinner. Mendel, my son, he was not even 3. Maybe he was, I don't know. He was close to 3. And we set up the table and we worked so hard that everything should be ready on time and that we should look like a normal family. And what happens is we were so busy getting ready that everything should be perfect that Mendel wasn't dressed in Shabbos clothes by the time that the Chesters came. My husband makes Kiddush, and Mendel has a tantrum. We are so embarrassed. This is the first time that this family is coming to us for dinner, and Mendel is screaming on the floor. So my husband put down the becher, and I said, Mendel, what's the matter? He says, I'm not dressed for Shabbos. So my husband left the guests. Maybe Leah was already born. I don't know where I was holding. I don't know. Yeah, I probably was holding Leah, who was clingy like anything. And he went to change Mendel to get Mendel in Shabbos clothes. Now Mendel's in the Shabbos clothes. And okay, now we could continue the meal. Another tantrum. Mendel is crying and screaming. What's up? You didn't wait for me for Kiddush. So now, Buzz says, okay, we'll do Kiddush again. He fills up Mendel's cup, he fills up his cup, and does Kiddush again. And the rest of the meal went by uneventfully. And my husband felt bad. Here's this 3-year-old kid, basically ruined this Shabbos meal. Anyway, a few days or weeks later, maybe it was a few weeks later, my husband met Sharon Chester. I don't know if it was in Costco, I don't know where it was. And my husband apologized. He said, I'm so sorry, we had this beautiful Shabbos meal, but whatever, the kids weren't behaving. She said, that was the best part. When we saw how important it was to this kid, who's not even 3, to have Shabbos clothes and to make Kiddush, that had the greatest effect on us. And it really, really did. Because before Sharon passed, she was completely Shomer Shabbos. And her husband. She loved coming to shul, and she stopped coming to shul from COVID, because once she stopped driving because of COVID, she said, I'm not driving to shul anymore. And it was a sacrifice for her not to come to shul and to keep Shabbos at home, and she did. And she made great strides. She went to mikvah, and she did everything she possibly could and kosher. She was amazing. And you could think, you're having a tantrum, go to your room. When you could figure it out, you could come back to the table. But no, when you could be in this world and look into the eyes of a 3-year-old and say, what's bothering you? What's bothering you? It's not just enough that we're going to have a Shabbos meal, make a good impression on these people, And the same thing happened this Friday night. You had all these people, everyone came. A lot of people, it was their first time coming to Chabad, because they all had been at this funeral and were connected to this individual person. And the meal, we called the meal for 7:30. Now it's already 9:00, and Label is done. He was exhausted. And I just wanted to make sure that he's full before I put him to sleep, right? I'm holding Label, I'm holding the chicken. He knocks the chicken down. We were outside the porch. He knocks the chicken down. Chicken's flying everywhere. And I'm like, okay. So my regular self is like, this is a perfect excuse. Take Label, put him to sleep, and I'm done. I put Label to sleep. I put my sheitel back on. I came back downstairs, and I sat and I spoke to the people till I don't know how many more hours. And they said to me, I was like, oh, I feel so bad, whatever. He was tantruming and literally the food was flying everywhere. And they said, he was so cute. It was such a pleasure for them to see this 1.5-year-old kid, whatever. Okay, first, at the beginning of the meal, I was holding Label in one hand and Miriam in the other hand. But just for them, they're older people, they're seniors. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they're kvetching and we're sitting out on the porch, and I'm remembering the last year sitting on the porch. I was in the middle of toilet training Miriam, and the meal was going on for hours and hours. The potty was at the table. It was on the floor near the table. I don't know, but I'm saying it's okay. It's okay. It's better to have everyone come, even if you're potty training, and even if it's not perfect, and even if there's tantrums and whatnot, but it's real. It's real. And the people appreciate it. And you think, oh, I'm so embarrassed. But it's not just I have to have this perfect Shabbos table in order to make a good impression on the people. but rather we live in this world and the kids are not perfect and we're not perfect and whatever. And it's okay. It's just be real, be you. And we know from Torah, the Torah teaches us how we're supposed to live. And we sometimes make mistakes and sometimes there's Yom Kippur. It's Yom Kippur also if we fall. But ultimately, it's easy for me. Okay, I'm going to run away to my room and I'm going to run into a room. It's already after 9 o'clock. I could say I was putting the baby to sleep. I fell asleep and that was it, But no, we don't run away. You could come back. Even if you felt embarrassed for whatever reason, and we live in this world, and this is where it is. And even if it's not perfect, and not every time, and this also, you call the meal for 7:30, 6:59, the people are already by your door. And you're like, yeah. But it's okay. It's okay. Everyone who came to my Chabad they all know. And since I feel like they come to see the mess, I think they enjoy to see that.
See the difference. The mess at 6:59, and by 7:30, there's this beautiful Shabbos table, and all the kids are dressed for
The
Shabbos.
transformation.
Instead of like, oh,
Yeah.
can I help you? And it's like, no, sit outside. We're done.
Yeah. We have it under control. But they want to help. They want to cut the salad. And the mess doesn't faze them. They're just so happy to be part of the family. They're not looking for perfection. They're looking for warmth and for the real life. And there's one person that comes to Shul. It's Yafa. She's in Israel. But Yafa told me one time, she says, the reason why I come is because I enjoy seeing how you and your husband interact with each other. Like who knows? Who knows? So whatever. We just have to follow the Torah as best as we could, do the best we can, and know that it's in the Gashmias and it's in the, and it's in the, and I made this chicken. I never made this chicken before, and everyone's commenting on the chicken. It's in the chicken. It's in the chicken. This is what's going to bring the people, whatever. It's okay. And countless people, Lori Garfinkel, her husband, Larry, he came every Sunday for Tefillin Club. And Lori, she wasn't interested in anything. Came Yom Kippur one year, and my brother Yaakov sent me a recipe for babka. And I made babka that for after the fast. Larry took home a piece of babka. His wife had the babka, and she was sold. She was our best friend. The babka, that's what brought her to Yiddishkeit. And Beth, another wonderful woman, her husband, her son, they were not interested in anything in Yiddishkeit. I made brownies. Those brownies that brought Josh every time he would come. He was a teenager, and he would have all these philosophical conversations with me in the kitchen while he was helping me serve the soup. But those brownies, Beth makes those brownies till today, because that whatever, it's the brownies, it's the challah, whatever it is. Okay, it's in the pink Kosher by Design cookbook. Those Oreo brownies. It has really brought many people to Chabad. So yeah.
Non-Jewish nanny.
Yes.
She became Jewish, but she said it was through the little kids.
The kids,
who
yeah,
were
it's unbelievable.
so serious about their stuff.
Wow.
They taught her everything.
Yeah, they taught her everything. Because she was an opera singer, she was able to say the for Hanukkah or whatever. And now she works in the school.
It's amazing.
She's fundraising for the school. She goes, because I really saw like the getting dressed for Shabbos.
So the kids taught everything.
It's so real. And she goes, parents, you don't realize who else is teaching their kids. She goes, of course I see some people don't want to and whatever it is, but the kids are.
So they asked the kids everything and they would teach everything.
Yeah.
I
listen to that podcast. It's really great.
It's
Oh, you're
amazing.
not wearing the sheitel? She was interviewed now. So
Yeah.
she said she thought somebody was in the room and then she's texting, she was like wondering why, because she saw like a sheitel or something. She said to the kid, does your mother wear a wig? Goes, yeah, you don't?
They're so pure.
But you're not tznius. They know that she's not Jewish and she doesn't have to be tznius. Like all these kind of things that when kids are little, I see now also as an adult, because I'm married to a Kiva. things that you grew up with are so part of you that you have no idea, even though you weren't keeping them or you weren't doing them. And it just, this is, this is what it is. And that's it from the little kids. And they,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
We don't need perfection. We don't need perfection. We don't need to escape and run away. Sorry, let me just drop it. But we could be real and live in this world and look at this, look at it from our children's perspective, look at it from other people's perspective. It's not just, my way or the highway, but to really, yeah, you're so welcome. But I'm saying to really still live in this world. And there's many stories of tzaddikim, whether it be I think it was here. I think it was the Maharal of Prague. I think it was that the story of the longest Pesach, right? Yeah. So what happened? He saw a non-Jewish kid crying in the street, and he could have said, "It's not my business. I'm a rabbi of the Jewish community. What do I have to help a non-Jewish child that's crying?" But he brought him home. He gave him food. And the kid said he had his uncle who was so mean, who was his baker, and he lost his money. And he gave him the money. And then later on, when that baker poisoned all the bread, he was able to save the Jewish people because the boy came and told him.
there's a lot of stuff. So we're going to be black kids that the Rebbe would talk to them all the time. And I don't remember what he is. He's like some popular, not a basketball player, one of those kind of things. And he's, yeah, was that?
Yeah.
I don't remember, but it just looks like a very
When it came
interesting.
time to saying, I think about A for Israel something,
Wow.
yeah.
He said the rabbi used to say hi to me every day
Wow,
as a little
wow,
kid,
wow.
.
To make a Kiddush Hashem, to be cordial, to say hello to everyone, to be a mensch, and we're living in this world. We're living in this world, and it's okay. It's okay. This is where this is where we have the greatest opportunity to become one with Hashem, to make a dir b'tachtainim, and every mitzvah is so treasured and valuable. And the heart and the more people are in this world, the more nachas they give to Hashem when they overcome the challenges and transform darkness into light. Okay, thank you so much for coming on this journey. And I titled the class, you could grow by staying below. Here, there's this different title. It says, "It's safe down here." It's safe down here. You don't have to run away. You don't have to run away. We have the kayach, we have the tools, we have the Torah telling us what's right and wrong, giving us we have the kayach of Torah to be able to withstand the trials and tribulations of this world. And it's like a mashal. And then I'll stop with this. Someone once asked the Rebbe, how could you send your Hasidim to faraway places? Aren't you afraid that they're going to be influenced? So the Rebbe said, if you have a pot of boiling hot water and you pour cold water in it, it's true, the hot water is going to get cold. But if you have a fire underneath the pot, as much cold water as you're going to pour in, the cold water is going to turn hot. So the fire is the kayach of Torah. We have the kayach of Torah, and therefore we could be strong in this world, and not that people are going to influence us, and not that the peer pressure is going to influence us, but that on the other hand, with the kayach of Torah, we could influence others in this world, with all the challenges and the peer pressure and the materialism and the trends, but everything ultimately could be used to serve Hashem and to connect to Hashem. Okay, we should take a merit to complete the Stir B'Tachtainim and have Mashiach now.
Amen.
Okay.
Shut up.
Thank you.